This video is sponsored by Wing Technology, your ultimate flight sim hardware solution.
Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing wonderfully well. Today, an interview, young systems engineer, whatever that means, working currently for BAE Systems. It's Jack. Hello Jack.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Yeah, well, I think we're all doing wonderfully well. I'm doing pretty well. I'll read the synopsis out and then we'll get a bit more detail and then we'll belt on with the questions. Synopsis. My name is Jack. I'm 22 years old. I'm from the UK. I work for BAE Systems on the Eurofighter Typhoon. Woo woo! Within the engineering discipline. I have been working for BAE Systems for the last 3 years. I am now currently on a secondment, I always struggle with that word, in Italy with Leonardo, and we're working on the Typhoon product. As I'm at an early stage in my career, I feel my route getting into aerospace industry might appeal to the younger audience. Excellent idea. I will describe how they can pursue a career in aerospace. I will outline my journey from leaving school, from high school to entering BAE Systems. So Jack, hello. Can you flesh that out a bit more? For instance, when did you decide you wanted to go into aerospace? What was your process from high school, and roughly a description of the things you were doing, and then we'll kick on off with the questions. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably from around high school, so probably like 12, 13, I remember my dad also works at BAE Systems. I'm from the Northwest, so the sites that are located there, the Wharton and Samlesbury site, took me for an open day, went in, really interested, but like back then I had no knowledge on like aircraft or like the semi kind of thing, but nothing. I never knew what BAE Systems was, Wharton, Samlesbury, all that kind of stuff. And he was like, "Oh, do you want to go see a Typhoon?" I was like, "A what?" And he was like, "Yeah, they're just around the corner." Went round, saw a Typhoon. I was like, "Wow, okay." I had no idea that this was so close to home. So yeah, from there, that's always set me. So from that, I joined Air Cadets. Biggest one for anyone who's like, I think the ages of 13 to 18, you can join Air Cadets. Biggest thing you can do. Really good thing to get involved in if you want to be in the RAF or the Navy or the Army, something like that. Roger. But obviously some of the aerospace companies like BAE Systems, Airbus, all those kind of things. So yeah, and then from high school, I left obviously for college. I did 3 years at college. I did a level 2 engineering certificate, so that was kind of generic engineering. It was quite interesting, kind of got my mind around what engineering was. And then from that I did 2 years a level 3 extended diploma aeronautical engineering, so that was just solely aircraft, like principles of flight, propulsions, aircraft design, like really cool stuff. And then from that I kind of thought about how I can stand out compared to someone who's doing the usual route that I feel like everyone does, like high school, college, university, then gets a job. I can't wait to stand out in another way. So I know that. So after college, I left and I worked for a subcontracting role for BAE Systems. Wasn't the most glamorous thing. I was working logistics, so moving around parts on trucks and forklifts, stuff like that. But it gave me access onto the site, so I got to know quite a lot of people and got to know gain a lot of knowledge from how the company works. So when a role came up in, I think 2017, I did the interview and I said, "Oh yeah, I work on the Wharton site." So maybe that's like quite a big plus. I had all the clearances to work there, so I think that was like quite a good thing. But yeah, so
awesome. No, that's excellent. I can already tell. I'm quite a good judge of people, and I've had employees myself, and you're the kind of employee I would want. You've already got a good, positive attitude, which is not that easy to find. You'd be surprised how hard it is to find.
Right, okay.
So that's really good. So I'm glad they've got you, and they've got the clamps on you, and they're going to hopefully pretty train you up. I'm just, while you were in the background, I was talking, I was just looking about the Eurofighter and how the Eurofighter, should I say, which parts of the Eurofighter is being made. So the Eurofighter, like in my day, the Panavia Tornado we had, and it's kind of a consortium in that it would be split up between countries. The UK would make a part of it, Spain would make a part of it, Germany, Italy, whatever it was for Panavia, I can't remember. But for the Eurofighter, we've got Italy, United Kingdom, Spain and Germany, and they've kind of got a quarter of the plane each, roughly.
Pretty much, yeah.
We got the BAE, we got a 33% share, and we've got, by the looks of this, and I don't know how accurate this is, you'll tell me, but it looks like we've got the front section, the cockpit, the canards, the tail fin, kind of a bit of spine, and some parts on the back. I forget now whether they're called elevons or whatnot, but you'd know. Does that roughly right from what you know?
True. Yeah. So that's like the production. So when obviously the aircraft is actually made, that's what we build up. But there's also all the other little things that are in between that. So all the weapons. So obviously, MBDA, who are a massive supplier for Typhoon, they obviously make quite a few weapons. So, but also that's kind of split with Germany, Italy, Spain. So yeah, there's also like the things that are internal and everything like that. So everything is split within the percentages. So not just the production as well.
So it's a real so it's kind of a bit of an over cartoonish simplification of what they've got here, but okay, that makes sense. And it's split into these proportions, presumably so that these countries can have a bite of the cherry. I suppose it's a good thing that they have these percentages, because it increases kind of commerce in their country. So I suppose they want to have the percentage rather than the percentages forced on them.
True, yeah. So I think a lot of the percentages come down to who's kind of putting in the most money, and I guess who can provide the most resources, the most development, the biggest technologies kind of for it. So obviously Germany and the UK are the biggest at the moment, and obviously Spain, I think, have 16%. Oh no, no, well, 23 or 16, and then Leonardo's 23. So yeah.
Roger. Sorry, I was just looking as well, and I see Eurojet, the actual kind of jet, Rolls-Royce, and 4 others. Okay, right, we've got an idea of how it's all split up now, and I've got the BAE Systems website up so we can jump about there. Anything else before we belt on with the questions?
I think I'm good to go, yeah.
Okay, now as you know, disclaimer, these are, we just open up to the public because you just get the most interesting, diverse, weird questions. Some are good, some are bad. And I'm going to quickly, I've just thought of one. I'm going to add one to 32 there. Ping. Right, let's build on and see where we go. So, what would you say is your least favourite part of working on the Typhoon product?
Okay, yeah, I guess the first question, slamming it pretty much, but no, so I guess like for me personally, something that you're kind of, when you go through college and high school and it's like they show, get involved in engineering and you can work on all these fantastic products and aircraft or anything like this, and you think that, from school, you're going to be working on the aircraft every day, physically moving things around, like fully hands-on. But as an engineer, that's not quite the case. You're doing a lot of office work. I'd probably say about 95% of the time. So you're looking at like clearances, documents, generations of documents, all different types of anything you can think of engineering, like life cycles, the plans that you're gonna have to do. There's everything. But the other 5% is so worth it. Like, even though the theory behind it and the office work is still really interesting, that 5%, I absolutely love the whole, you get involved in trials, flight trials, ground trials, like simulations kind of thing. Like, yeah, it makes it all worth it. So, yeah. But yeah, that's like my least favorite part, I'd say, just being in the office, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, when people say Typhoon engineer, you probably have, a lot of people probably have a romantic idea of, kind of Kelly Johnson kind of sculpting new wings out of clay and sexy scenes in the aircraft tunnel. But I like you said, I'm sure all of you guys, like you said, 95% is just hard graft, boring, the stuff that actually makes the planes fly, which is just paperwork and stuff like that. And then 5% of actually doing a little bit of cool stuff, which, most jobs are going to be exactly the same. But yeah.
But it's all needed, though. Obviously, every piece of work you're doing all is adding value to a fighter jet, to a cutting-edge 5th gen, 4th gen aircraft. So, yeah.
Roger. I mean, even I've worked just starting to work a tiny bit with some of the developers in DCS, which is, not real planes, but obviously, I don't know, fake planes, virtual planes, and even that.
Virtual planes,
even that, the amount of guff, I don't want to get in trouble, but paperwork and stuff behind the scenes that has to be done is crazy. But anyway, there we go. Right, number 2. What is your career plan? Where would you like to be in a few years? You take that however you want, but is there some sort of path you'd like to follow?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I finish my international assignment here in Italy, I will return back to the UK. I will reintegrate kind of thing with my current team that I was with before. I'm still part of them now, but I'm just here. But yeah, I'll go back into working as I was a year or so ago. And then from that, I really want to get involved in my further education. So obviously, I don't quite have a degree right now, but obviously, BAE Systems are very generous in that they'll pay for it. So, like, it's a great tool and like benefit that they give you. So, yeah, definitely get involved with my further education. That'll take me a couple of years. But I kind of, I mean, the whole making like a 5-year, 10-year plan kind of thing. I made a 5-year plan at the very start when I first started, and I had an international assignment, so working in Italy or wherever, at the end, and then it's happened within 2 years, and I'm thinking, okay, so maybe I need to bring things a bit closer. So, so keeping it a bit loose, but in the next couple of years, Tempest is going to be rocketing off, and Typhoon still has loads of work going on, so it's dead exciting. But obviously, anything can happen at the same time. So.
Roger. I was at I go to church every Sunday, and I was at virtual church now. I was at virtual church on Sunday, and we were talking about the sins, and jealousy is one of the sins. And I shouldn't be jealous, but I am really, really jealous. I wish I could turn the clock back 20 years. Things when I was your age, and before. The whole kind of late teenage years and early 20s, I had no idea what I wanted to do, no idea, and I just wasted it, basically.
Right.
I wish I understood, and you could just go back, and I'm like, so jealous. I'd love to do what you've done and see what you've seen and get involved. But that's how it goes, and
Yeah, well, obviously, I think I know that with a lot of young people that they're not quite sure what they want to do, but I knew kind of, from 12, I was like, I quite like fighter jets. Like, I think maybe working with them will be pretty cool. So, like, people who are interested in going on holiday, well, would you not want to work in tourism? I don't know, but stuff like that. So.
No, you did it right. Okay, well, good. I'm pleased. I'm glad. Number 4. What part of the airframe do you work on, or systems? How do you explain that?
Okay. So I'll probably just be very vague with this. I work in an integration team back in the UK. But the cool thing is obviously there's an integration team working on the same sort of products for the Typhoon in Germany, Spain, and Italy. And then what they kind of do for this team is there's a joint team here at Leonardo. So I work with all the EPCs, so the European partner companies. So there's someone from Germany, someone from Spain, someone from Italy, and we all work together. So like it's very interesting, seeing how Germany thinks about Typhoon and but we're all working to the same goal, which I love. Like different paths in life, like completely different cultures, but we're all working to the same thing, same goal kind of thing. So yeah.
I noticed you're kind of avoiding talking about which kind of physical product you're making. Is that because you're not allowed to, I'm guessing?
Yes, pretty much. Obviously, I'm still very involved, and I don't want.
It's frontline fighter, obviously. This is not a 60-year-old retired SR-7.
I also don't want someone to build a profile of me and then ring up someone to be. Oh yeah, I'm this guy. Can you give me? I don't know.
We'll leave you alone on that one. But yeah, that's understood. This is the thing about obviously talking about guys that are actually these are actual real. Classified frontline fighters, defense, security, blah blah blah. So it's fine. We'll work around it. This is an interesting one. What's an average day for you at work, if there is such a...
So obviously the cool thing about my job is that we're not very every so often, I guess like a couple of weeks or months, we're working on completely different tasks that we were a year ago, or like new products or new enhancements that are coming to the aircraft. So it's always changing, which I love. Like no day is the same, but it is, like I said, it's not very glamorous every day. You will be in the office most of the time, but obviously that percentage where maybe you might do once a week of actually being with the aircraft, or you might do 2 weeks where you're just solidly with the aircraft or something like that. From like some of my colleagues who have like gone away with the company and stuff like that to suppliers or to work with the customer and stuff like that. I guess at the moment though, obviously from I guess maybe February, March time, I have been sort of home working and the odd day in the office. So so that's kind of made a massive change to everything.
Yeah,
obviously everyone is at the same time as well.
Well, I'm the only one that's not changed. I think for me, literally nothing has changed. It's so weird. It's like how you do the shopping slightly changed, but
yeah.
Number 7 we can't ask because reasons, so that's fine. Number 8, and this is a really interesting one. Have you ever been attracted to the Royal Air Force, or even better, I wonder who this is, or even better, the Royal Navy? So are those services, or you want to stay kind of commercialised? I don't know if that's the right word, but. So no, really, from probably
getting interested in aircraft and obviously going to air cadets, they're very keen for you to get involved with the RAF or maybe the Navy. So yeah, I was really set for years, all the way up until like end of high school, beginning of college. I was really set on it. I really wanted to be like a weapon systems officer, you know, like obviously the guys that sit in the back of Tornadoes. I was really interested in that role, but then I was like, I obviously was knowing so many people in the industry, they're kind of saying, well, Tornadoes kind of going out of service soon, so maybe it's not the best career path if you get in and then you get set up on them and then you'll be moved on to something else. So I was okay, maybe not quite that one then. So and then yeah, towards the end of high school, I remember at high school there was a very big, I guess like careers fair for the Navy, and they were really keen to get as many people as they could, and I was really interested in being I think it's probably like an aircraft handler or something, because obviously with the 2 new aircraft carriers coming out, like that looks unbelievably cool. It was like with the F-35s, all brand new equipment, all brand new stuff. So I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. That kind of faded away, and then I started to really look with BAE. I thought, well, yeah, I think this is probably the way for me, because I'm from the northwest of England, so it was very much, it's a 10-mile drive almost kind of thing. And then and like someone like, I guess I'll bring up my dad, who's been in the company for 37 years or so, often like he was a massive supporter and influence, saying, because he's worked there, like he says you get all this stuff, so why not join BAE? And I think though, like being my age now, looking back at the military, because obviously we work with the customers now, and they tell me all these experiences they've had in the RAF and the Navy and stuff like this, and they sound unbelievable, and I'm like, that'd be so cool to do, but I've kind of taken a different route. So I kind of think maybe I've not ruled the reserves out just yet, but yeah, very, very cool paths either way. So yeah.
Roger.
Yeah.
Good answer. Well considered answer. The next one, on what parts of the Typhoon do you work on? People are trying to worm it out of you. I don't think there's anything we can add there, though, is there?
I mean, I can just kind of say that I work on a range of products that the Typhoon utilizes. So, there's the airframe and everything like that, but there's obviously the things that Typhoon uses as well. So,
Right.
Sorry, generic. Sorry.
Right, okay, fine. Right, this one. Do you think that the Tranche 4 will be the last incarnation, the last version of the Typhoon, or they will push it even further with this jet? Before you answer that, please, I'm sure you know what you want to say, but for dummies like me, can you explain the tranche system, if that is even the right pronunciation? Where does that word come from? Why not block or?
Yeah, true. I'm not too sure where the word tranche comes from, but I know obviously, so it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it's kind of the capabilities or enhancements or sort of generations they have. So obviously with each one, it's more capable. So I guess from like actually physically looking at the aircraft, one of the biggest things you can notice is in front of the cockpit or the canopy, there's the Pirate, which is like an infrared camera. So you can always tell which one's a Tranche 1 or a Tranche 4 or Tranche 3 aircraft. But yeah, so obviously we're always looking at new technologies, new techniques for the aircraft and everything like that. So I don't think Tranche 4 will be the last. Obviously, really good news. Germany bought 38 the other week, so that's really cool. But I think we're definitely due. We're definitely working solidly. So it's a really good time. I mean, we're always looking at how to make it more affordable for the current customers and potential future customers for the future. But I also think about, obviously, when you look at Tornado, I'm not quite sure when it was planned to retire, but I know that it went on and on, didn't it? And then it was retired only last year. So I think with the Typhoon, it'll be the same deal again. With the RAF, it'll be planned to retire at a certain date, but it'll be retired far after. And then when you think about our export customers, maybe someone like Saudi Arabia, they'll use it way, way, way after. I'll probably be retired by the time they stop using it, maybe. But yeah, so it's still got a long life, I think.
I can't think of many products. I think the old Valiant bomber that were actually retired way before they were supposed to be retired. But okay, let's stick on this topic then. So we're on tranche 4 at the moment, right? Yes. With the Pirate and the other fancy gizmos. Let's speak theoretically. If tranche 5 was to come along, any idea the kind of improvements that would bring I'm so far. I'm in my brain works 40 years. I'm into 70s and 80s and 90s. So up here, I can think of the foggiest. Any idea what are they going to put a stealth nose on it? Any idea what kind of thing would be in the lines?
Yeah, so I guess like one of the cool things is obviously there's always concepts being developed that we get kind of briefed about. So there's always stuff that's being developed on. But I think for me personally, what I kind of think is obviously it's already very capable of what it can do. And when you think about, so I guess one of our potential customers that was hopefully going to happen was someone like Malaysia. And obviously, I guess they would have a big need for, I guess, is it maritime kind of combat kind of thing? Maybe a weapon like a harpoon. I'm not sure if they use them currently, but yeah, it's something like anti-ships, which a Typhoon isn't. Can obviously fight against them or anything like that, but doesn't really have the suite for it kind of thing. Doesn't have the layout or the load for it. So I think it'll probably be looking at customers of the future where obviously one of the potential ones is Finland, and they're like very cold climates, everything. So what we could do to upgrade the jet in that way and maybe push it further in that route for someone like Finland at the moment. But yeah, I think maybe the biggest one may be anti-shipping. Maybe I think. For going forward.
Roger, does the Typhoon have like a main competitor? Would that be the Gripen if that was a such thing on the world kind of market, or is it just not that simple?
No, yeah, there's definitely competitors. I wouldn't say Gripen is the biggest one. At work, I hear a lot about Super Hornet. They're always talking about Super Hornet a lot. So, but obviously, there's the F-35, but then again, BAE Systems makes part of the F-35. So, but then obviously for me, we're like, no, Typhoon's the golden boy. We want Typhoon to be bought, but people who are like an F-35 want F-35 to be bought. But either way, it's a good thing for like BAE. It's a good thing for the company. But yeah, like it's. So I know with the Finland bid, they're doing like this trial for. I'm not sure how long it spans over, but for say a month. For 1 month, they do. So I think they have F-18 Super Hornet, and then they have Typhoon, F-35, and then maybe I think Rafale as well. And they're trying them out to see which one does the best in all these different type of situations. But obviously, we don't hear anything about that until they're ready. But that'll be maybe a couple of years, maybe. But yeah, so maybe not Gripen or Rafale, but I think maybe Super Hornet is one of the biggest ones, or the F-35.
Interesting, very good. Okay, now, let's finish off on the tranche thing. I'm sure you're aware we're getting Eurofighter in DCS, which for me was a massive surprise. I'm like, there's one plane I didn't think would be coming for all sorts of reasons. I didn't think it would be that, but it's great, fantastic.
True, yeah.
And now we're getting, I've already done an interview on Guillaume, but I have slept since then. But I think we're getting the tranche 1 plus some odds and features, because in reality, it's almost impossible to actually duplicate a block because you don't get access to everything you need. So it might be a tranche 1 with some odds and sods from tranche 2 or whatever mixed in here there. So that's what we're getting. So that must seem, to me, that sounds like futuristic. But for you, I guess that's kind of like stepping back 20 years.
A little bit, yeah. So I'm like super excited for it. Like I remember seeing the video come out in April, which you guys did, loved it. But then I was looking at all the photos that Guerra was showing, and obviously they're all air to air. He all has air to air weapons, and I was like, we can do other things now. But I mean, yeah, like definitely though, you look, it doesn't have the pirate system or anything like that. But yeah, obviously, I remember watching all the questions, and I was like, "Oh, how is he getting around this question? How is he doing this one?" But yeah, I'm super excited for it. So whenever it comes out, I'll be definitely getting that one.
I mean, he's obviously he's in the loop. He's got a lot of contacts, and he can somehow get not the classified, because classified is classified at the end of the day. Hence, you can't have a pirate and whatnot. But he's obviously, I don't know. He's got his finger in a good few pies and managed to get some stuff out, which is good. I like that. Okay, very good. Right, let's push on. Where do we get to? So, okay, I mean, this is kind of generic, and I just, it's just asking for your honest opinion. What is your opinion as a young engineer on the future of combat aircraft?
So yeah, I mean, I'm like quite interested in this question, because obviously one of the biggest things that BAE are involved in right now, that happened, I think, around dry time last year, is we unveiled the Tempest. The new 6th gen aircraft that we're hoping that will come into the market and be flown and everything like that. So I think that is 100% like, for me, looking at what the company are like showing, like that, like So I guess as a company, we can provide all these capabilities to gain an edge over opposition compares. I don't really know. We don't really talk about that much, but like the whole idea that they're trying to, direct energy weapons like Star Wars, like that's like unbelievably crazy. But there's always been crazy things like CSR2 was like way ahead of its time, something like that. But yeah, so I guess like some of the features that they're bringing out is the whole like the man and the machine working together, which I love the idea about. And I guess one of the cool things that I love, I watched a piece, it's on YouTube, the British Forces TV did, and they talk about Tempest, and they were showing this capability that they're hoping to pursue, and it was kind of like Typhoon and F-35 is one single pilot, and he's obviously really overloaded, I would say. Like there's so much to do, but for something like an F-18 Super Hornet F or the Tornado with a 2 crew layout, I guess more a Tornado is a navigator role, but they can still provide they can provide quite a lot of assistance, really, can't they? But so one of the ideas is to generate an AI where, imagine if you're on an operation, you're going to do a mission, and in the time you're doing the mission, there's your home base, say it was attacked, and you can't go and land there now. You have to go find somewhere else, but you're still focused on the mission. And you'll come to at the end. Maybe you could talk to this AI and say, okay, can you find me where we need to go after this? And they could say, okay, so there's a base this far away. We're going to need to get to a tanker, so I'll contact the tanker and then we'll carry on. So I think about that. That is actually like Jarvis from Iron Man. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it
so,
is, isn't it?
Yeah, so I love that idea. But there's obviously so many ideas that are going forward with Tempest, and I'm very excited to see where it kind of ends up. So yeah.
Roger. Well, I suppose I don't know how many years, but I suppose in a couple of decades, you'll probably be a senior engineer on the Tempest things. We'll hook up again. If I'm still alive, we'll hook up again in 20 years.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
yeah,
funny.
I can imagine like Tempest will probably see me out my career, maybe.
Oh, yeah,
So yeah, 100%.
Very good. Okay, let's push on. We did do a video on the Tempest, but it's purely literally just like grabbing odds and sods that we could find from the internet. There's nothing really concrete per se. Anyway, so that's that fully answered. There was a whole lot to talk about, and I've deliberately not followed that up because we could do a 2-hour video just talking about the future and drones and AI and the implications. But we'll stick away from that for now.
I think actually, just to go back, I was just obviously thinking, in my opinion, when I think about, obviously that's what my company BAE are like kind of planning, going forward. But I guess when you look at the last 20 years of like conflicts, you look at like how they've kind of been a lot of insurgent style conflicts, and like you look at aircraft like the A10 that have like outshined any other kind of platform. And I think I was literally watching a video before this, and like how they're not planning to scrap the A10 at all, even though I remember a couple of years ago they were like, yep, 2012 we're stopping it, like, and it was something like that. But now it's like, no, we need it for forever almost. But yeah, so it's interesting to see how maybe the next 20 years how conflicts might develop, or seeing if the A10 again will outshine everything almost.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, there's sometimes, often at least, a sophisticated solution just does the best. Like you've got the A10, you've got the AK-47.
Yeah, true,
neither
true.
of which are, I don't think, ever going to be allowed to retire because they do their job so well for various reasons. But okay, DCS, which is, I guess, how you found me, one way or another, and is what I'm into. Are you a fan of DCS? And if so, do you fly the sim yourself?
Okay, yeah. So I'm a huge fan of it. I've never taken the full commitment to play it. I don't really have the equipment yet, but I also like the amount of time you need to put into it is massive, and I'm not quite there yet. But I know as soon as that Typhoon comes out, I am definitely getting on it, because then I'll be like, well, I go to work in it all week, and then when I come home, I'm like, oh right, I know how to do this bit. But yeah, like obviously, I think the simulator's been out almost 5 years, I think, and I obviously don't play it, but I look at the updates that are coming to it, and every time it's like, oh, look at what they're doing. Like, this is amazing. So, like, I'm very excited for the future of it also. Like, it's going to be, yeah. So,
I think this kind of deserves a video on its own, but I was just thinking about that talking. I remember joining DCS, I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe even more than that now, and there was even then there was not a great deal you could do. We had one map, and that was it. We had, and that was much simpler. We had some what we call FC3 planes. I mean, sort of simplified kind of arcade planes, and maybe half a dozen not particularly popular high fidelity, MiG-15s and stuff like that. And now we're fourth gen fighters fighting against each other with Link 16 data links and interactions that we could only have dreamed of. Really, the things that you can do now really has gone, and it's probably speeding up. Maybe not exponentially, but the rate of change is increasing. True, so much that I struggle to keep up with it. I mean, it's my job to kind of cover it all, and it is really interesting to keep up with it. Right, so we haven't got you into it yet, and agreed. I mean, time is the main thing. So, for instance, my older brother got me into aviation. He's maybe 13 years older than me. And I've been trying to get him for the last 5 years into it. But again, he's what we call a normal human, or a normie, as people say. So he has a family and a child and things like that, and a job. And so to spend your free time, little bit of free time he gets, looking through a 700-page manual, it just doesn't really want to do it. So I understand it is difficult, and so. Well, there we go. I'm sure I'm going to find you to get you in one way or another. But Eurofighter is going to be a good reason for it. Okay, very good. Yeah. I mean, this is kind of a bit of tongue in cheek, but what is your favourite jet of all time and why? Not jet, but plane. Sorry, I think he means just kind of plane.
Yeah, so obviously I'm going to sound very basic, and I'm going to say Typhoon. It's the aircraft that I've grown up with. Like, I know obviously there's people I know where they've grown up with Lightnings, and they say, "Oh, Lightning's my favorite aircraft," or like Tornadoes. So it's very much Typhoon. But obviously, it's inspired me. It's given me a career. Like, I live in Italy at the moment. I'm absolutely loving it. So it's 100%. But I obviously not to say I just like Typhoon. I do love other jets. So I quite like American aircraft quite a lot. I love F-15E Strike Eagles and F-18F Super Hornets. I love the idea of the tandem cockpit design. A two-man crew working together. I love that. And also, I don't know if you've ever played Battlefield 3, the mission Going Hunting. That was again from a young age. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So yeah, I was So that's where I kind of went with that. But then things like RIAT, the Real International Air Tattoo, every time I go there. I'll talk to some crew on a Globemaster or an Osprey, and it's okay. This is now my favorite aircraft.
I'm the same. As soon as I get into something, I'm like, oh my god, the Chinook is amazing. You seen the stuff you can do? What was I going to say? Yeah, and we're really lucky as well. We do have a really good, point to judge in this country, in that we have RIAT, the biggest air show in the world. Yeah. And for a tiny little country, we get, you go as with it, you get F-22 Raptors, you get F-16s, you get Eurofighters, you get Rafale, you get Gripen, you get Hornet, you get Super Hornet, you get, it just goes on and on. We get Flankers, Fulcrums. All these Russian Cold War stuff. It's amazing what we get. So we can literally compare everything in terms of at least the display. And one thing, and I've always said this, the ones I always prefer are the Russians, purely because they're just so loud and smoky and not particularly effective.
Yeah.
Sorry, when I say Russian, I mean the Russian-built aircraft. The Russians don't come themselves.
Yeah, true.
But it's an event. They always have an event. But the actual impressive one, if you were a robot and you didn't have any emotions, one of the most impressive ones is always the Eurofighter. It really is. You see it, how it rolls and how it pulls around a corner. It's power to weight ratio in that configuration is really stunning, and you just look at it and think, wow, that's amazing. To us, almost, I find them because we see them every day, almost like, oh, boring, Eurofighter. I see that every day. Luckily, me and you being in where we live and whatnot. But when you go and see it, it really is amazing. Rafale, I always find really on paper. I don't fancy it. Again, at the air show, whether it's the pilots or not, I find it amazing. And you got some really good stuff. Anyway, so that's that. Fair enough. I shan't push you on that one. Where are we going next? We're going to go, are you allowed to... voice is gone. Are you allowed to work on sensitive systems of the jet? And do you have to pass a test or sign papers to allow info not to escape? Okay,
I'll just say yes to this bit, but I'll bring on to another point. I'll just say yes, just so I'm covering myself.
Easy.
But obviously, I've noticed that they put about passing tests. And I don't know if maybe a young person had wrote that, because obviously I know being young, like I am still the same. When it comes to doing exams or tests, I'm always like, oh, I'm getting very stressed out about this. Through high school, college, anything like that. But so obviously there are tests that you have to do if you're working, when you do start working for someone like BAE. But I always kind of find that like the exams are very straightforward. They're not trying to catch you out like they would do in a high school exam, for an example. But just like an example, like you do have to do like tests like health and safety. And obviously, if you work on like an air field kind of thing, so there's the airfield, and then there's also the officers that are with them. You literally have to learn about make sure you don't drop any foreign object debris. They're huge on that. So like you go around the site and it's clean. It's so clean. But yeah, and like just how to pass over an airstrip and like a runway. So so I think if anyone's ever worried about doing exams when you get into the company, they are there, but it's not as intense as they were back in high school, I would say.
Roger, good. Yeah, I hate tests. I'm nearly 40 years old, and my main nightmare is still my sixth form exams. That's the main thing that I wake up and I say, God, it's never going to go away. What is the attitude toward young personnel like you at BAE, and are the colleagues nice and supportive?
Yes, absolutely. In the whole time that I've been there, you work with some absolutely amazing people. I've never felt out of place. I've always felt welcome wherever I go on site or anything like that. And like, obviously, one of the cool things is obviously if you take a site like Wharton, it's huge. It's like almost like a village, and everyone works for the same company kind of thing. So everyone's so friendly to each other. And as soon as you leave the gate, it's like it's just the real world. But I think like, an example, like I remember I had to go find someone or a piece of work on the site, and I'm going to the area of the site that I've never been to, completely alien. And you go inside this building and you're like, oh, well, where does this person sit? Where do I need to go? And then straight away there's someone, oh, are you all right, mate? Do you need a hand? Like 100%. There's always someone there to help. Like, even though he's probably swamped doing something, he's super busy, they've always got time, which I absolutely love. Always got time for you. And yeah, like I guess with the support side, since day one. Like, the team that I'm with, like it could vary within other teams, but I've always felt that great people always like pushing you to like develop your career and push you to do extra work kind of thing and build that like knowledge base and those skills. And also they like obviously I joined when I was 18, 19, so they also kind of develop you as a person, like things you should do, things you shouldn't do. Like it's almost like I guess like your mum and dad, like don't lie or anything like that. Like they would always tell you, you will get caught out if you ever do anything like this, so don't try. So just they can see right through you if you're ever trying to do anything. So yeah, it's very much like a family, I guess, kind of thing.
Roger.
But yeah, and I mean I've made some like really close friends that hang out outside of work, and like it's so 100%.
Roger, and that sounds really promising and good, because you can easily go the other way and makes it a crap job if it's the other way. So it's great to hear.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you've 100%. Like the people that you work with make most of it. Like if it was a not so good job and you just had a really good team of people, like your mates, pretty much, then that would just be like the greatest. And I found that a lot. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I was just reading ahead. I don't actually understand this one, but we'll try. Do you have to work all the time on specific tasks, or are you allowed to develop and explore your own ideas about the jet in general? Okay, I see now. Yeah.
Okay, so is that kind of saying if I see something on the jet that I don't like and I want to change? Is that kind of what they mean?
Well, I think that's an exaggerated example of. Obviously, no, you can't do that. But I think, are you just kind of ticking boxes and doing what you're told all the time, or can you say, actually, I think maybe there's a better and more efficient way of doing this, or were you not at that stage yet?
Me personally, I don't feel like I'm at that stage yet. There have been other kind of situations where, like, because obviously I have like a background in logistics, and sometimes engineers, like the people I work with, had like no idea how things moved and stuff like that. And I was like, oh well, I used to work in this area, so we can go ask them. And they were like my friends and everything. So like really good to kind of combine them together, so they they have contacts to communicate with each other. So that's kind of like my level. But you do see, like, when you go into meetings and if you're discussing whatever, and there's something comes up like an issue or a problem, and then someone like some of these people like combined the amount of knowledge and experience in all the years that they've been here is huge. So they think of things that like are just crazy, and it's so like I'm always I really want to get to that level, but they're like always like, yeah, I was at your level at one point though, and I knew nothing. So it takes like 20, 30 years to get there, but we'll slowly get there.
Absolutely. Okay.
So.
Number 17, does working at BAE mean that you need to spend long periods of time away, or is it not so bad? Obviously, you're in Italy at the moment, so...
Yeah, if you take as I am now, I guess I won't have been home for almost 2 years or the end of it. I mean, I've been home to see my family and stuff like that. I was going to come home for Riyadh, but it was not happening. But yeah, I mean, yeah, so... I wouldn't say really. If you're working a usual job, no, you'll be in the you'll be on the site most of the time. So, but I do see people who do go away to see the customer or a supplier, or they go away for some other kind of work. But because I'm on an international assignment, so this is like my place of work. So I know that I'll be living here, like, and everything like that. But obviously the company do incentivize it. It's not a bad thing to do, and obviously like I'm getting a full experience of living in Italy. I've made loads of new friends here and everything like that.
That's pretty cool, actually.
So yeah, it is really cool. And then, but if you're thinking more like on a week to week basis, I remember some of my team back at home, they would kind of go away for an odd day or two, but they'd always be back for the weekend. So they've always, in the week you're working, but then at the weekend you're back home. So stuff like that. But yeah, I wouldn't say too much, no.
Number 18, and you've kind of answered this when we were talking about the synopsis of your career, but can you please describe to a youngster, myself, how I can follow your path and where to start from?
Yeah, so I guess I'll just like flesh out a bit more. So getting quite personal. So in high school, I had a horrendous time. I really didn't like it.
Same here.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't like a bad kid or anything. I wasn't naughty or anything. I really didn't get in. I didn't really attach to it, so I really didn't have a good time. When I went to college, that completely changed. I did engineering courses, like courses that I wanted to do. So that was really good. And obviously, joining Air Cadets was probably through high school one of the best things I've ever done, because I made all these friends, and I'm still really close to them today. We still talk all the time. So I made all these friends, and obviously they push you in other ways to gain skills, like so in the UK, it's like the Duke of Edinburgh Award, I think it's called. So yeah, they push you to do that, and obviously you can go flying. To all these different air bases. I went to RAF Marham, Boscombe Down. That was really cool, and RAF Valley and stuff like that. You get to do some amazing stuff with Air Cadets. So I can only, if you're not at Air Cadets, I mean, I don't know what it's like at the moment with Corona, but if as soon as you can join Air Cadets, if you're not in Air Cadets, you need to get into it. And obviously things like Riyadh, all the air shows, amazing. Really just like driving you to, if you want to work in aviation, it's a long process kind of thing, but it's so worth it. And as long as you just keep pushing yourself, you will get there. And obviously, so kind of moving on to college and doing my engineering courses, I also volunteered at my local airport, Blackpool Airport, and they were setting up a kind of like this museum for Spitfires, but these are like 1-to-1 scale models of Spitfires, and they like were used in films. So it's kind of cool, kind of interesting. Obviously, as a volunteer, I was like sweeping floors, painting, but you got to meet some cool people, and they were obviously interested in Spitfires. So that was pretty cool. But obviously, it's like gaining your confidence and getting you out there. Like if you're just inside all the time, like I mean, DCS is pretty good, but getting that real world kind of experience is really good. I had like a part-time job. I used to work at Poundland, where everything was £1 kind of thing. And then so then from that end of college, like I said, I joined Wincanton as a subcontractor, working on site. So again, like that, I used to like sweep the floors again, but quite a low level job. Wasn't the best experience I had, like working with people, I guess. Obviously, but I always thought, it doesn't matter. At the end, we know where we're aiming for, we know where we're going. It's all, just ignore it. It's like this anything that's toxic happening in your life, you just kind of ignore it and just keep pushing forward, kind of thing. So then, so and then from there, I joined. So it's really cool because BA Systems has a really good kind of intake for young people. So there's the apprenticeships that are amazing. Like I have loads of friends who are in the apprenticeship program. That's a really cool thing to look at. I think that's kind of for like people who have just left high school up until maybe around 2021. Very keen on doing it. And if you're in university, they do the graduate program, which again is another one to look at. But they also do, not just besides that, they do roles that are just kind of direct entry. So if you check like Indeed or something like that, like there'll be roles. Sometimes there are like very high level, but you might notice that there might be one that's like, oh, this is an aircraft handler. That sounds pretty cool. So maybe keep an eye on them and stuff like that. But with Tempest rolling out, and this will be the big one, this is a massive intake for BAE systems, like for us. And also, for me, one of the big things was that a lot of the population that's with BAE on the sites for the air side are kind of getting quite old, so they're due to retire soon. So they knew that there's a gap coming, so we need to kind of fill this. So there was a massive intake. So I was one of them to get into the company. So yeah, I think in the next couple of years there's going to be a massive intake for young engineers. So it's a good time.
Sign up now. One thing there that piqued my interest, you said you volunteered at the Blackpool, I think local airport or whatever. How did you go about that? Did you just roll up one day and said, "Hi, have you got any jobs?" Or how did that come about?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So that was kind of through college to kind of say, they would have like kind of contacts, but I do know some people who have literally gone down to like local airports or stuff like that. Mainly airports, and just say, "Can I help out?" Like, you're obviously doing it for free, so
sure.
What's the big problem? Like, so yeah, I know obviously, so like Blackpool Airport was open kind of thing. It's now kind of just like a private airfield looking thing, but it's still open. But somewhere like in the UK, there's quite a lot of areas. But then obviously stuff like air cadets, you can get involved in volunteering and stuff like that. So yeah, and then also I found you guys through Instagram. I'd say Instagram.
What was Instagram?
Well,
am I on Instagram?
Well,
I don't even know. Alison does all that for me. I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, because I think one of your members kind of spoke to me about doing this, and this is how I don't know, this is how we got here. But yeah, so Instagram is a massive one to just DM someone, as they say it, just direct message them. It's like, do you need a hand or anything like that? Like, it's a really good tool to use. Like, so see, you're not so much doing it now where you have to go in and physically say, "Hi, how are you? Here's my CV" or something. You can just kind of, do it maybe that way. So
you can get jobs on Instagram nowadays. God,
it seems like it, people making a living through Instagram and kind of thing, but crazy.
Okay, I'm learning about the modern world, and I don't like it. Okay, excellent description there. Loads of stuff you've gone through there, and you've had a very busy life, which is really impressive. Right, where are we? Sorry, 19. You just described it, but how did you manage to find the Grim Reapers and Super Cup? And do you like the madness GR is? So did you find the channel, the YouTube channel, or how did you?
Yeah, so I found the channel. My friend was getting into DCS, and he was following loads of your tutorials, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll give them a subscribe. Just kind of preempting when I do eventually get involved in DCS, I'll come to you guys first. And then obviously I wouldn't watch the videos, your actual simulating videos so much, but when I discovered the interviews, I was like, oh, these are so cool. So I've been following these all the way. And then I was going to Rome in August, and then on the way, someone just messaged me randomly, and I kind of thought that he was kind of part of your group. Really, really cool guy, and he was saying, "Oh, would you like to do an interview?" And I was thinking about it all the way on the train. I was like, I might as well say yes, because I've always kind of wanted to do something like this. I've never done anything like this before. I was quite nervous doing this, and I just kind of want to be able to talk with audiences and everything like that. So, and I was like, "Yep, let's do this," and then here we are. So yeah, pretty cool.
Oh, you're definitely a natural. Some people have to work really hard on. To get them going, and some people I just can sit back and drink my tea, which is what I'm doing today. So, so it's my kind of interview. Excellent. Awesome. Okay, yeah, no, I'm really glad you came. And yeah, we have a 16 plus policy. That's for legal reasons. We can't have youngsters about now that we're making money and stuff like that because it's a no-no. And the guy that you're talking about is a 14-year-old, and we have a whole bunch of 14-year-olds that can't officially be called Grim Reapers. And they can't officially be in the Discord group, but they are friends of ours and they watch the streams and they keep in contact with me personally and stuff like that, and they're just kind of waiting until they turn 16, and then they're kind of, if you like, the next generation.
Amazing. That's
just
so
how
cool.
it is. So, yeah.
When I was talking to him, I had no idea that he was that age. He was like quite professional in the way he structured his messages. I was like,
that's exactly right. It's exactly right. You've got guys out there that, and this is just, I don't want to say thing that's specific to DCS, but it is one of the cool things about DCS is that it does bring a lot of intelligent and mature people. Not everyone. Yeah. I'm not particularly intelligent or mature, right. But you can get some really interesting kind of people like that, and then you suddenly find out when you talk to them exactly. Oh, you're just a kid. I mean, I started on this. It sounds weird now, but I started on this when I was 35, and I started with a 12-year-old who I'd never met. I just met him flying on a server, and that's how. If it wasn't for that, GR, I wouldn't have. And you knew more about planes than me. Jill wouldn't have taken off. So I always say, and I remember because my co-age friends at the time were like very skeptical. Like, what are you doing with a 12-year-old? You weirdo. It's like don't think like that. It's a really bad view to think of things like that, make judgments like that. So so that's really interesting. But don't let it put you off. Really nice guy, and and really worth talking to. Okay, very good. Can you please tell us a bit more about BAE Systems company, as I'm not familiar with my part of the world, China. Wow, that's a long way away. So give us a rundown of, I mean, I guess it's a huge thing and you're only a little, in a small segment, I suppose, but what you know about them, or the spiel that they fed you, should I say? What do you know?
True, yeah. So, I'll tell you the specific part, kind of the area I'm in. So I work in the air sector, which is for Europe, which is obviously mainly Eurofighter Typhoon, F-35, Hawk, Tornado, and then so obviously there's unmanned aerial vehicles within that. We have quite a few sites in the northwest. There's obviously some sites all over the UK, but the main kind of work side I would say is in the northwest. But then obviously BAE is a massive company, an international company. Just as a quick one, with the UK's biggest defence company, biggest supplier to the British Armed Forces. But then also we provide, I would say, almost every type of capability: small arms, vehicles, tanks, ships, submarines, aircraft, almost like cybersecurity as well. But it's a huge company. And then we also have different sectors. So there's BAE Systems Inc., which is the American side that I know I always see on Facebook and YouTube that they do a lot of naval assets. But BAE Systems Australia, BAE Systems Saudi Arabia, huge kind of structures there, kind of thing. Pretty huge company.
Are you guys not your sector, but are BAE Systems involved in the Warrior vehicle?
I believe they're part of land vehicles, I think. I think
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's the Warrior. I think Challenger as well. I kind of feel like anything that the British Army or Navy, Royal Navy or the Royal Air Force use is, BAE has some finger in there. I think very very
It's a big contract. Boris is. I was just watching the news yesterday. Boris is deciding whether to give a green light for a £2 billion upgrade to them. I was just wondering if that was BA or if it was someone else. But a big contract.
I mean, obviously, there was the news about obviously the £16 billion investment to the defence. Obviously, I think BAE will take a huge chunk of that.
That was nice, wasn't it? Because usually, for the last 40 years, it's been cut upon cut upon cut upon cut.
True, yeah.
And finally, I'm actually. I mean, it's not my type of defence. It's all cyber bullying or something like that. But I prefer it to go on aeroplanes. But I guess some of it will go on more sexy stuff.
So I mean, we'll see what comes out of it. But obviously, we're hoping some goes to the Typhoon. That'd be nice.
Roger. Very good.
Yeah.
Have you actually been in a real Typhoon cockpit yourself, and how does it feel if you manage to climb in?
Yes, a handful of times. I remember obviously doing it through React, but I would, obviously mostly at work. I don't know if you've ever seen photos. Very modern, very sleek. Lots of visibility. Obviously, it's a really easy to operate cockpit because the aircraft is very mission optimized. So you're not spending so much time flying the aircraft. You're more focused on what the mission entails. So I guess if you look at like a legacy aircraft, maybe like F-15, there's so many dials compared to Typhoon. It's crazy. So yeah, but yeah, quite nice. I mean, just like I was thinking of like two cool facts about it is the seats up like a 30-degree recline, so it's quite relaxing. It's quite nice, and then also it's really tall. Really tall.
It is, isn't it? I noticed that.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing a photo of one at Red Flag, and it's next to an F-22, an F-16, and an F-15. It just towers over everything. And I remember kind of being in one. They obviously have the main stairs that are almost like something for an airliner. And yeah, but they have the little steps, and I'm like, if I fall off these, I am going to know about it. But yeah, it's cool cockpit.
The biggest one ever. I don't know if you ever saw when Riyadh ever went up close to the flanker. That thing towers about 50 feet. I'm like, jeez, that guy has to get in there. He's taking his life in his hands every time he gets into a flanker. That's amazing. Stuff like that, massive. You just don't notice on it. However good a simulator is, you can't simulate those kind of proportions of looking up and getting that kind of vertigo. Whereas in real life, suddenly it's like, very good. Regards cockpit, I was looking in. A Raptor is an old plane now, F-22. When you think about it, it's almost. It's not legacy, but it's. I was just looking at the cockpit of that. It's starting to grow on me a bit. It's five screens. There's no instruments at all. I think it's a Raptor. I think I might have got it slightly wrong. And it's 5 screens at the front, and they're taking over all of your instruments, all of the dash, whatever you want to call it, flight instruments. And then around on the consoles on the side, you've got a handful of knobs, maybe 20 knobs total, something like that. And I was just thinking how simple it is. So simple, these modern things.
True.
I'm looking forward to seeing. I've never really put any time to studying the Eurofighter's kind of cockpit, so I'm looking forward to seeing what she's like. I'll probably wait until DCS though and do that.
Yeah, I think that with the funny things when you look at obviously because they're so engineered to be so efficient and everything like that. And when you look at the F-16, F-35, F-22 thing, I really don't like it about them. That really ruins everything for me. Is the control columns at the side, like where your right hand arm would be, not in the center. I really don't like that. I like Typhoon has its center, like A10, F-15 has its center. I like that, like you're flying the aircraft, not
like a Spitfire, right in the center. Big thing, Roger. One thing I always really, because real aeroplanes compared to your HOTAS, your joystick at home, they have a lot more throw on the, so rather than it being kind of, 8 inches or something, whatever this is here, a real, F-15 control column, 2 foot or something. And so you can get loads of, what's the word I'm looking for? Accuracy and kind of resolution in the movement, okay? But one thing I was confused, an F-16, a real F-16, obviously has literally, just like I've got here, a kind of little 8-inch thing, and therefore hardly any throw. And I always wondered how they could fly so accurately, but I guess it's not necessarily a throw. It's like what's the word? It's the electronics and the mechanics behind it. How you can make it accurate enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting because I remember talking to an A10 pilot a couple of years ago, and he was saying they say they have it like that because it's more precise.
Really?
And I was thinking, is it? But I think someone told me as well. It doesn't actually. I mean, this is like I think skeptical. Just someone told me through loads of things. Apparently, it doesn't actually move that much at all. It's all about pressure of your hand, which I thought was quite crazy.
I mean, that must have some really clever, I don't know if they're potentiometers or what, but that's got to have some really clever, reliable systems, like high, I don't know what the word is again, resolution sensors in there to do that.
True.
But, anyway, maybe I'll get another F-16 tech on at some point and I'll ask the question.
Sure, yeah.
I think I already have, but I've asked so many questions now, I'm starting to forget the old ones. Anyway, we should push on. So we did that. What is, again, I think you've explained this, but anything you want to add on to what your current involvement with Leonardo is?
Yes. So obviously it's mainly just a joint team. So I'm still a BA Systems employee. I still follow all the same guidelines. I still have the same holidays, stuff like that. But I'm just a BA representative for this joint team, which I think is amazing. I have to say, as the company's kind of giving me this responsibility, which I think is amazing that they put so much trust in me. So yeah, but everyone I work with are very supportive anyway. They know that I'm quite young and they help me out as much as they can. So yeah, it is really cool. So yeah, it's good.
Which part of Typhoon, in your view, we've kind of covered this, but see if you've got anything to add. Which part of Typhoon, in your view, can be further developed and redesigned to keep it competitive with its contemporaries in 10 years, 20 years?
True. I guess so. Like I said before, there are concepts that are kind of being worked on, but they're not visible to the public at the moment. Until kind of like a customer adopts them, then they'll become public. And there's some really cool ones. But then also when I think about the aircraft itself, I think it's like it is very capable. It's obviously working in Syria, kind of and we get kind of feedback about it, and it's doing its best. So it's getting there. I think obviously as a company like BAE Systems, we're a business. Obviously being an engineer and everything like that, they do you have to kind of learn that this is for a customer, and obviously we're trying to be as efficient as we can, like driving costs down. Like cost is obviously one of the biggest things. So it's how we can drive down costs for purchasing the jet, running the jet, and maintaining the jet. So I think kind of going forward, it's going to be kind of maybe more like the support line. So there was a contract, I think maybe a year or two ago, called Titan, which was Typhoon Total Availability. Doesn't stand for Titan, which I think was quite funny, but yeah, that was like a huge project on how we can give the RAF money back, which I thought was really cool. How they can run it more efficiently, which was good. So so from kind of where I see, I feel like driving costs down, I think.
Roger, no, that's absolutely, that is what it is a business at the end of the day, operating in a free market. So that is something that has to be done to compete at the end of the day. If you want to, if the company wants to live, and it's good because it works for everyone. That's why we could afford stuff. So, right, very good. This one's I don't know what you're going to say, but the old jets. I don't know what that means, but let's take an F-15. Can you just install new software and systems on board to bring them to the current tranche? Oh, sorry, it means old tranches. Right, my bad.
Yeah.
Old tranches. Right. Can you just install the new software systems on board to bring them to the current tranche 4, or is it not that simple? So can you use a tranche 1 airframe with a suitable amount of hours and upgrade it to a tranche 4 by bolting bits on?
So I remember seeing like some cases of this. I remember once seeing a Typhoon wheeled into the water site once. That was pretty cool. Like this little convoy of trucks just all with different bits on. But I mean, you can, but I guess the first kind of aircraft, the Tranche 1 aircraft, were up until now they've been run hard. Like they're not
absolutely.
They're
up every day pretty much.
So as like time progresses, sometimes they might get a new jet in, and then they might be like okay, we need to maybe change a part on this. Oh, let's just use an old part from like from one of the Tranche 1 aircraft, maybe like like a Pylon or but obviously like the FM you can nothing has obviously changed over is it maybe the 18-17 years it's been in service, so nothing too much, but I think say I don't know if a big conflict kind of came out, then there would be like a real drive to let's bring these ones up to the current. But obviously there's a cost associated with that, so obviously I don't think they do it that much now because there's any need to. So
no, so that's a really good point. It's simply not needed at the moment. But like you said, if there was a war, then I guess the most efficient way, rather than building a whole bunch of new Tranche 4s because there wouldn't be time, is to just upgrade the old ones. So I get it, yeah. So supply and demand. Right, 26. Do you remember the first day of work? If they're, if it was that easy, if it was just not working and then working, or if it was, kind of phased in, and what you were expecting. And was it what you were expecting?
So I like this question. So I started in 2017. I remember being obviously, kind of more excited than nervous, kind of because obviously I had already worked on the Warton site for quite a while. So I already knew where the canteen was, where to, where obviously everything is. So that kind of took a bit away. Obviously, I was starting with brand new people. And to be fair, I had met some of them kind of briefly. Obviously, working in logistics, I'd kind of meet some people giving parts. But obviously, like, hi, here's a part, and that would be it. So not really like full integrated with them. But yeah, like obviously they're really, they bring in new people all the time, and they're really good at this. So on the Salisbury site, there is basically a school that BAE have made, but it's just solely for their interests. Like they'll bring customers who need to be trained on the aircraft or something like that, maintainers, and they'll go to the school. Really sophisticated school. There's like Hawks in there and stuff like that. But yeah, I remember first day doing the inductions, maybe the first half of the day, and then like with everyone in the induction was like around my age or a bit younger. So yeah, and then we were taken to where we would work daily. So yeah, and then that was kind of it. So I think one of the good things that was really nice when we got there is obviously it's quite overwhelming. I remember on the first day we got there, it was on a Monday, and they did a team brief of what was happening in the week. And I remember just all these words, all these acronyms being said, and I was like, whoa.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it was crazy. And at the end, someone was just like, don't worry, you're not supposed to know this just yet. You've got so much time. Don't worry about it. It's okay to say if you don't know anything. Like, if you don't know something, but just make sure you kind of keep raising your hand, keep asking questions, and you'll be okay. But I also kind of remember at the end of the day being so energized, like just leaving the site, so energized because it taken me like 5 years to get in, and it was just this grind and just grafting to get in, and I'm finally here. And I just know a company like BAE, the amount of experiences and opportunities that are going to come my way if I just keep with the same work ethic, it's going to be right. So that was, and the whole time I've been here, like obviously there is like a bit of stress involved, and there's bad days and there's good days, but I know that things are going good. So it's really good. So.
Roger. Okay. With your permission, I'd like to skip 27 and 28. They're just kind of rehashing what we've talked about earlier, about why did you decide to go into aviation and stuff like that. Unless you read that differently, 27 and 28?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, that's fine. That's cool.
Okay. 29. Do you have the chance to communicate with Typhoon pilots? And can they help you and or your colleagues to make the jet even better? Or, kind of regards to the feedback loop between the pilot and I guess the engineers is what we're talking about. After all, they will fly it and know what they want from the machine. That's interesting. So you may not be even involved anywhere near the pilots, but any interesting comments about this?
Yeah, no, true. Yeah, they're obviously heavily involved, like the test pilots, very involved. Obviously, so I guess, if they do a flight or something, because they'll come back and give insight to if the system was operating correctly, if it needs to be improved. And I do quite like it because I get like, I've never personally been in any of these meetings or anything like that, but they're quite brutal. Because they're like ex-RAF, obviously they're like test pilots, so they're obviously, I would say they're top. Like they are, we all have a handful at the Wharton site. Yeah, really, really good guys though. But yeah, I kind of think though, the part of the question where it kind of says what do they want, obviously I don't really think it's more if the platform, the aircraft is meeting the mission. Not kind of, if they want something specific to them, they don't really do that. They just make sure that if they're going up on a flight and doing some tests, the tests run as they should, that were predicted on the ground through all the work that's been done. But one of the cool things is that Wharton has this facility that they utilize is it's kind of like a ground station, I think they called it. And whenever the test flight goes ahead and they go up, there's a ground team who are monitoring the flight. And basically, I always think about that as like a Formula One pit wall. Like I remember like seeing it. It's basically all this data, and there's a guy who's monitoring all these systems, and there's a guy who's monitoring the tests, there's a guy who's monitoring the flight, like kind of thing. So there's so many things going on, and I think it's kind of sad. But I guess gone are the days of like Chuck Yeager, how he was like this quite a big celebrity and like a massive icon for like aircraft. But that's kind of gone, because if he comes back and he says, "Oh, I was having some funny interface with this system, and then they're like, oh yeah, we already know about it. So it's like they'll know more about it than kind of what he's seeing. So yeah, but they're when you see them on site, it's there's one of them pilots. It's pretty cool when you see them. So yeah.
Roger. Yeah, I've had the pleasure of interviewing a couple of test pilots. That's the right word, test pilots now, and interesting characters, aren't they? Really knowledgeable, really know their stuff. But I've always found them being. I mean, I've only interviewed two, but I've always found them quite humble as well. As in, you don't show off like, oh, I'm the boss. I do, It seemed really nice, but Okay.
Yeah, well, I've only kind of spoke to him in passing, but I guess the thing I love about with BAE is. I guess we've got the military, the RAF. You can see kind of like what level they are by the rank.
Yeah, sure.
But at work, obviously everyone's kind of wearing professional clothes and stuff like that, and you have no idea kind of who you're talking to. Say that you just talk to them in passing. I remember I was working with someone for a lot of one day, and then at the end I was like he was pretty cool. Like who is he? It's like he's the chief Typhoon engineer. Like he's the all up guy for BA Systems for Typhoon. I was like. Oh, okay. But then I remember he had the time to give me advice, which I thought was amazing. But he was just so, again, humble, like really chill. So that was really cool. So, yeah.
Very good. Right. Do you have fun at work? And if so, could you share with us how?
Yes, definitely. I mean, being obviously like a massive aviation enthusiast, every day is fun, like really. Yeah, like I guess like if you kind of go a bit more deeper, so the company do like open up areas, like maybe for like an afternoon or something, to go and have a look on what everyone's up to. Like if there's some future work that people are doing, that they'll you can go and have a look at. They do these kind of almost like a convention where there's all these little stands that people are doing. It's all the work that we're doing within the company, but obviously you can't sometimes just wander around the site and go in and just, what are you doing? Like, obviously sometimes there's some really sensitive stuff going on, but yeah, so there's just like areas where you're looking at what the company's involved, because obviously we have like kind of partners outside of BA Systems. So one of the coolest ones I thought was amazing is we're partners with McLaren cars.
Oh wow, how about that?
Yeah, I know. So I remember seeing a Typhoon next to a McLaren 720S. I was like, what's happening here? Is this just someone's car? And he went, no, we work with you guys on the HSI, the human system interface, on how we can provide information to the driver and how we can provide information to your pilots and stuff like that. And obviously it's cool because McLaren don't make aircraft and we don't make cars, so we're not competitors. So it was cool how we can be quite open with them and stuff like that. And I guess like little things, obviously sometimes when I'm sat in the office, obviously because we're on like an active airfield, they're like, there's an Antonov 124 coming in a minute. I'm like, excuse me. Like there's such a variety of aircraft coming in, because obviously there's a lot of like test aircraft, like the Saudi Tornado is like still really cool. Like so yeah, very cool. I mean, I guess one of the most funniest things I've ever done was obviously they have simulators at work, obviously like DCS stuff, like not kind of to DCS, sorry, but like in-house stuff. So they have all these state-of-the-art simulators, but then they also have like a press simulator, which is for like press as in like journalists or media or like celebrities.
Right.
They can come in and have a go. And what they do is they do a thing called the Mac Loop Challenge. Like it's a full intense rig. Like it's fully there. I mean, it was quite old when I went on it. It was running on a version of Flight Simulator 2004, which apparently it's been upgraded. But Mac Loop Challenge, fastest person to fly through the Mac Loop. They had a leaderboard of who was the quickest. Obviously, at the top you have like all these test pilots, but you had like people like James May from Top Gear, Brian Cox, like really Carol Vodderman, like loads of cool people. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. So yeah, sometimes like you can just be out and about and you'll just see something interesting. So yeah, but obviously the work itself, I find it extremely interesting. Like I've always. Everyone's like, you have so much enthusiasm. Like, yeah, because this is like the dream.
Inspiring,
like, this is so cool. So, yeah.
Okay, wow. That sounds awesome, man. Okay. I don't get quite as much as I get RC to laugh at, but that's all I get. So that's the best I can do. Question 31. I've made an executive decision that you're not old enough to talk about question 31, so we're going over that. Question 32. This is my own one. I've got an old friend called Andy, and He used to tell me how he used to make the nose cones for Eurofighter, and must have been maybe 20 years ago or something. I don't know. And it was made of fiberglass, right? And now the thing about fiberglass is my car's basically made of it, and it's the most horrific material ever known to man. It's A, takes ages to make and is awkward to make and awkward to maintain, and B, if you breathe on it, it just cracks. It's like, how did someone invent that? So is someone really telling me that the Eurofighter has a nose cone made of this stuff? Any feedback on that?
I mean, I think if you're on the Eurofighter website, there is kind of like a diagram of what things are made out of. And does it say fiberglass?
Stand by. I'm looking. It's GRP, a glass reinforced. Oh, it's glass reinforced plastic. I don't think you really call that. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine kind of maybe that's what the public knows, that it's just like, oh yeah, it's the closest thing to it is fiberglass, maybe kind of thing.
It'd probably be very different to what's on my car by the sounds of it. Then.
Yeah, I imagine it'll probably cost like a lot as well, maybe, but yeah, quite crazy.
You have some really weird materials on these things. I remember at Riot, were you there when the Elevon blew off the stabilator blew off the F-16?
Oh no!
Yeah, that was the last year that it was on before it got cancelled. So that means last year, basically, doesn't it?
Yeah, okay.
It was going,
I think I remember seeing the photo. Yeah,
doing 9G, it just went bang, and that rear right stab just obliterated. For I can't remember, air or water or something got in, because it's made of like this fiberglassy weird material. It's not metal for whatever reason, and I just found that really interesting. But a lot of these planes, they're made of this material now rather than metal, aren't they?
Yeah. So obviously I know like Typhoon utilizes a lot of carbon fiber, and something that's really cool is when you see. When obviously the jets are produced, then they go on their first P-fights, like production factory acceptance tests, where they basically just rag the jet around. Nice. It's absolutely amazing to watch. But they're in this really nice, like kind of like goldish orange color, and they just look brand new. It's so cool. So yeah.
I wonder if now McLaren are heavily involved in obviously fiberglass. Carbon fiber for their monocoques. So I wonder if you guys share a lot of information with them regarding method of carbon fiber as well. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I imagine so. I imagine we kind of look at wherever, but obviously we have other partners that where we can work with and everything like that. So yeah, it'd be pretty cool. But obviously, I remember seeing that like the place where they produce like the carbon fiber at work, and it's just like. You're just thinking like where you're stood is like hundreds of millions of pounds of material. Like it's crazy.
Cool. Okay. Well, we've come to the end. It's been lovely having you and talking about that stuff and talking about this plane.
I really enjoyed it.
What I'd usually do at this point is say, because what happens is a lot of the guys that we interview kind of stick around from then on, and well, a lot of them actually become members now, and they're still. In fact, I've got another guy in Italy who maybe he's not that far away from you, F-16 Tech, who's joined us full time. But anyway, that's another story.
I imagine, is he Aviano? Is it?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Aviano. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the other side.
Oh, you're the other. Okay, that's not going to happen then. Yeah. So, but I can't do that obviously. I don't know. So my direct order to you is try and just keep in touch at least. I like keeping in touch with everyone.
Yes, I'd love to.
And even if we can't go flying, then it's just nice to hear from people, because for me,
awesome.
it's all about meeting the people, and it's all what makes it special for me. Okay, well, thank you for that, Jack. Lovely hearing from you, and I suspect you were going to rise. It's going to take a long time, obviously, because all careers do, but you're going to rise through the ranks.
I hope so. Yeah,
you'll be leading a department of guys, and I think it'll be wonderful to see that. Any final thoughts from you before we sign off?
I just want to say, like, I love this channel. I really enjoy what you guys are doing. Like, So I'm obviously going to keep following. And yeah, thank you so much.
Roger. And I didn't even pay him to say that. He said that of his own accord. Honest.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great, Jack. Great, Jack. I'll speak to you in a few months or weeks or whenever.
Super. Thank you so much.
All right. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye.